Hi, my friend Sam Villa here, along with my man over there. That's Andrew. And down there, we are so happy to have the man himself as he holds up the roof. That's
Yeah, I like it. I'll hold both of you guys up very
yeah.
daintily here. This will be good.
I'll tell you, Jason, right now you're holding a lot of people up, my friend. And
Thanks,
the
man.
industry just cannot thank you enough. So here we are with the awesome Jason Everett. If you've never had an opportunity to listen to this guy or actually meet him in person, highly recommend you do both, not just one, but do both. High Performance Salon Academy. This guy is all about supporting salons, and he supports them with business plans, everything that you can think of, especially with what's going on in today's world. Jason has a lot of comments, suggestions, concerns, opinions, and I will say this, he's also got some answers. So, Jason, great to have you. And I've obviously got my man Andrew with us. So,
Yeah.
Jason, we're happy to have you.
Dude, so glad to be here. And Sam, I mean, on one side of like, being able to help people that have questions inside the industry is such an important thing. But man, I just want to say this. You have been such a beacon of hope through this whole process. Like you always are anyway, Sam. Dude, you're like a beacon of hope and inspiration, all that stuff in just your day-to-day. I was watching you just close out a training a little earlier, right? And I'm listening to you at the end and I'm like, how do you not hang out with Sam and just be inspired? Like, dude, I watch you rock stages. I watch you rock live. It's like you could be teaching anything. Like you were literally on like teaching braiding with roping, and I'm like, God, maybe I should start braiding, and I'm not a stylist, So, dude, if you guys have ever been inspired by Sam, do me a favor and say inspired in the comments. And I know I'm jacking your comment flow here by jumping in, but man, I just want to say thank you so much, Sam, for all that you do. And Andrew, you guys have been just doing some incredible things. Your show must go on was amazing, and like I'm just honored to be hanging out with you guys and being in the same space. So, dude, so good to be here and so happy to serve so many people, because this industry, unlike any other industry on planet Earth, in my opinion, is underappreciated by the rest of the world. Right. And like, I come from outside of this space. Like people are always like, Jason, are you from this industry? Now I've been around for like 12 years. I don't know when I get to say I'm from this industry, but like, I didn't come from being a hairdresser or a salon owner. I came into the industry and got pulled in, as you know, Sam, like with Blair and with Redkin, they kind of like sucked me in. They said, you can't leave. And they held me hostage and said, you have to stay. Right. Yeah. And what I think is just crazy is like, I always look at this industry as one of the most amazing industries on planet Earth because of how people are treated and the hearts that exist and like the amazing thing, like the gift that you give to other people. And I always saw that like before all this shenanigans, right? Before all this is that people kind of would look down on you if you were a hairdresser. And I just thought that was garbage. Like, these amazing salon owners would introduce themselves and they would say, hey, I'm a hairdresser. And somebody say, oh, that's cute. Like, what does your husband do? Or what does somebody else, how do you make money? Because clearly that can't be it. And I was like, that's not the thing that you want. Like, that's not what you want to have as a career. And people do it anyway because their hearts are so big. And so with our academy, man, our goal has been to elevate the way the rest of the world sees the salon and spa industry. And I think you guys do such an amazing job of that, of making it a true profession, of making people feel good about what they do and about sharing that love with the rest of the world. And I think that right now, more than ever, has been shown by this crazy thing that just happened, is that people now, like, the reason why I'm wearing a hat today, because I don't live with a hairdresser, right, is like the world now, right? Like we've moved from the panic stage for toilet paper to panic stage for hair dye and hairdressers. So people are like, okay, toilet paper was number one. I'm sorry, hairdressers, you lost out to toilet paper. But number two, no pun intended. Sorry, that was a bad joke. I'm just going to move on. But number two has been that hairdressers were the ones that people said, I want you back to work as soon as possible. You know what I mean? And again, I joke, and please don't ever perceive any of my positivity and optimism as disrespect for what's happening in the world out there. I just know that somebody needs to be smiling at you because the news will tell you all the other stuff. Let me give you the positive stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we've taken that exact same approach too. And sometimes I do feel like, man, are we almost being too happy, joy? But
yeah,
you know what? The thing is that is what we need so bad, because I'm just as guilty as anyone else. I get on here and all of a sudden I've spent half an hour scrolling through my Facebook feed, looking at all the negativity, and that's not good for us. Like that, totally. We need to stay informed, of course, but we need things that bring us joy too. I just had my friend Andrea Hemmer on for Cabin Fever this morning. We were talking about like oxytocin and serotonin, or What's the other one?
You're talking about the stress hormone. As soon as it went out of your
Yeah.
brain, the dopamine receptors on the good side, but now that you've lost it, it's out of my brain too. But cortisol,
Sorry.
cortisol, that's what it
Cortisol.
is.
Thank you.
Cortisol.
So,
it
you know,
happens.
and that's the thing is, like, we have to recognize you are having a chemical effect on your body with the energy and that you're taking in, the energy you feel. So we feel like it's part of our responsibility actually to like keep people stoked and keep people happy and keep feeding positivity into our world.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned this earlier, Andrew, but we've been doing in our high performance salon academy because we work with commission salons. The day after all this craziness happened, I just was mentioning it to you. Like we did a 6 a.m. support call every single day for our salon owners. And we've done everything from help them get PR coverage in their local city to like this morning we were covering like SEO topics, like how to get your website set up, search engine. We did one on like how to set up your salon to go back. We examined the whole the list of stuff that came out from Georgia this week of like what you need to do to go back in the salon. And like, I think that to that point, the biggest thing that's come out of that is not just like, oh, cool, you got me on TV, or, oh, cool, we did this. They just said, you know, daily, I'm setting my mind right to get there. Like Sam, we were talking about this right before we went on the air, right? Is like, dude, how many things hijack you in your day that will take you off your regular thing? Some tech snafu, your children running in the room. Like my kids are now 20 feet away from me in this other room. They could very well bust through the door and just come in and party with us on this live. Like I have no idea. And like the amount of things that could potentially hijack you right now mentally is greater than ever before. And your ability to maintain a mental focus in crisis is critical right now. And more people than ever before have reasons to freak out that are legit. I mean, imagine how many people were freaking out when it was like, oh yeah, you know, my world wasn't perfect. And now it's like the world isn't perfect anymore. And now all of a sudden you're in a totally different framework. You've got to have some mental tools to help you get through that. And that's what we've been doing, is helping people tool up and fuel up and get them where they need to be.
You know, Jason, one of the things I want to immediately get to, which I'm finding a lot of concern right now, is getting ready to go back. You know, I mean, let's talk about that. Eventually, everybody's going to go back to work in terms of the salons, but they're going to go back definitely with a change.
Right.
And definitely, you know, doing things in a different way. So let's talk about that. And let's hear about that from your perspective. What concerns do you have? What suggestions do you have, et cetera?
Totally. And we've been talking about this a lot. And I think that there's one thing that I think is the biggest mistake that any salon owner can make. And in fact, I've put out a whole series of videos on this. So watch our YouTube channel and you'll get some of this, but I'll give them all to you right here while we're hanging out, Sam. Is one of the biggest mistakes that I see salons doing right now is they're getting ready to discount. Because they're freaking out. They're worried about, okay, you know, and nobody has any money, you know, people are broke, and that like, I better drop my prices and get it to a reasonable place so I can honor my clients. Now, hairdressers, remember, I'm not a hairdresser, but I work with hairdressers every day. Hairdressers have the biggest hearts on planet Earth. That's why you guys don't like talking about retail products, because you feel pushy. That's why you feel bad about raising your prices, because you're worried about somebody's pocketbook. I want you to hear this. If you only heard it from me, then please let this be the time you hear it. People don't have less money right now. They actually have more money than they've ever had before. Like, I want you guys to hear this. Like, this is super important. Even with unemployment at 20%, which is the highest it's ever been in the United States, like that's crazy. Even with unemployment at that amount, that means only 2 out of 10 people are on unemployment. So are you either focused on those 2 people out of 10 that are on unemployment, or are you focused on the other 8? Now, let me just paint this picture for you. The 8 other people who are not on unemployment, they no longer are driving to work every day. More money in your pocket. They're no longer traveling. They're no longer going to the mall. They're not buying dumb things. Like, there's so many things that have been eliminated. In fact, the average person has more money than they've had. And now they've even got stimulus checks that came in. There are even people who are on unemployment right now, not to start a whole conundrum problems in the chat here that's going to all happen, but there's people who went on unemployment that actually make more money on unemployment than they did when they were employed. So this idea that you need to go out and discount in order for your salon to open is crazy, especially when you are now incurring more costs to open the door of your salon. You probably are going to have to buy, you're going to buy masks for yourself, for the guests, for the clients. You might have to change your hours. You might have to be open differently. You have to buy all these other products. It's okay to look at that. And I would just say, number one, do not discount. This is actually a time where if you're overdue for raising your prices, remember, you are the hot commodity right now, okay? You're the hot commodity. People are asking the questions like, can I get a driveway black market haircut? Like, would you come over? And like, people want you back, you know? So be aware that that's the worst thing you could do, is start discounting because you feel bad or you feel guilty. Know your worth, know your value. People love you now more than ever. I see a question that just popped up on here.
Well, I just wanted to bring this up because
such a good point.
this actually just hit me. Like literally as you were saying that, and then I saw Annette's comment, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah. Like if they're still at work, but now we're gonna, and I'm sure we'll kind of talk about this, but there's like PPE kind of stuff. There's actually additional costs. And with the social distancing, I'm sure that a lot of you are going to be pacing your staff differently if you're a salon owner. So you've
got different childcare costs now because you know your kids aren't in school, and so you've got there's all kinds of costs that you're going to now incur. And remember, you had to pay for a month of your salon to be open that no business came through the door. So like remember, people, restaurants, you know, like are you're allowed to donate additional money to your restaurants. You guys are going to see bigger tips than you've ever seen before. You're going to see all these things. So, but I want you to hear this: is that the mindset that you have about walking into it will dictate what your reality is. I hope you guys heard me. The mindset you walk into this with will dictate your reality. So if you walk into this with the mindset of everybody's broken, nobody has any money, you'll discount, you'll ask people questions like, so, you know, why are you more broke? And you'll create this reality around your world that it'll support your reality that you started out thinking. So you'll find more broke people. You'll hear those stories. You'll look for those things. Think of it like the news feed on Facebook or on Instagram is an algorithm. The more you interact with content, the more it'll show you content it thinks you like. Your world is the exact same thing, except you create your algorithm. Did you guys hear me? You create your own algorithm in your world. So if you think that everybody's broke, you will start naturally looking for more people who are broke. You'll pay attention to that car that's busted up or that person who doesn't have enough money. That's what you'll pay attention to, and you'll attract more of that. So if you can turn that around and say, look for the people who are still employed, look for the people who are ready to tip you more, look for the people who are going, I need a full color correct because I went and bought this box color and freaked out, and like I need more work than I've ever had done before, not less. And it's okay to charge because, again, I have the money in my pocket that I didn't pay for my haircut last month, ready to go. It's just sitting here. It's double that it was last month. I've got more money. Yeah. So I hope you guys hear this. Super important.
Take a look at the other side of that, Jason.
Yeah.
And in regards to, let's say that the message that I'm getting is there's a lot of our hairdresser friends out there that are suffering.
Yeah, totally.
In fact, I've had salon owners calling me up and saying, Sam, I'm going to be closing my salon down. I don't have a choice. I can't afford right now. If we even go back in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I can't afford it. They've either lost their team or et cetera. So, you know, based on that thought that salons are having a tough time, you're looking at these people. I know some salons, their team is on welfare stamps, food stamps, food stamps. And these are people that make a lot of money behind the chair. Unfortunately, there's not a plan. There was not a plan. I mean, we could go there, but I'm more concerned about these people that are thinking on the other side, that thinking, you know what? There may be people out there with a lot of money, but I don't have any. What's your thought on that?
Yeah. So I just want to say this. I have been so broke in my life that I've gone to an ATM and not been able to take out money because I had such a negative balance in my ATM account. Okay. I want to be really clear on that, is that sometimes, you know, because I'm a very positive by nature person, right? It's hard to get me to go down this path of like what's going on. But here's how I look at that, is that, you know, you've got to ask yourself, if you are totally at rock bottom zero, you're on welfare. Like I've literally tried to figure out if I needed to apply for unemployment in the past because I've been fired 2 times in my life and had to really examine it and go, you know, what do I really want my life to look like? I would just say to those people is like, look, you've got an opportunity to rebuild whatever you want. Like you've literally taken like an Etch-a-Sketch and shaken it, and you got a blank page. And that page with your drama, your story, all of those other things, you have a completely clean start. And what I would say about that is that you have a clean start to decide, how do I want to go forward in this industry and in this business? And I hope you don't see this as an opportunity to say, I don't want to be in this industry anymore. Forget it. I'm going to go work for the state and go leave. Remember why you got into this in the first place. It was to serve and to care for people. Now, the reality for me is that the world has handed you this giant dose of reality, hit you with a 2x4 and knocked you out. The question is, are you going to get back up and do something about it and change what you were doing and take the lesson that comes with this? Because Sam, think about this, man. How many stories have you and I both watched where we've been at a hair show, and Andrew, you've probably seen this too, that the story of the person standing up there is not the person who's been successful for their entire life, but the person who got knocked down and got back up and did something extraordinary. Because I truly believe, whether you call it God, the universe, the great spirit, whatever your choice is from a religious standpoint, is that when you look at that, is that God would not give you, and I would say God, right? But like God would not give you something that you weren't capable of handling. And I think this is really important, is that while my heart bleeds for anybody who says I'm broke and I have no money and I can't afford to pay for my kids and I don't know what they're doing, is like you've got to look for the smallest moments of success that you can rebuild from and use that to stack momentum to get where you want to go. Right. And so like this is where you're in an ultimate test right now to say, where is it that you want to be and how do you want to create it? But again, same thing. If you say like I'm broke and I can't do anything and everybody else is broke, well, then you'll find that reality. If you say this might be my greatest shot in life to say, you know what, I was going down a path that wasn't the way I wanted to. Maybe I was running my salon this way and that didn't work. Now I get to completely change my model. You know what? I went bankrupt and lost it. And by the way, I've closed out businesses that were not successful and had to go and sit and have very hard conversations with investors and do things like that and just go, I'm sorry, guys, there's no more money. I've had to have all those conversations. But everything that happened from there forward was, what did I learn from this? How do I get better at this? And how do I do it? I mean, Sam, how many hair shows have you been at? And I'm sure you've not bombed many hair shows, but have you ever done a hair show that was a bomb? Yes. And then like, and the next time you're like, I'm going to be so much freaking better. Like it builds you. And remember this, when you're working out, when you're trying to get fit, you've got to break down your muscles to build them back up. So use this moment. Look, if you still have a house that you can go to, if you still can go get some food, I don't even care if it's mac and cheese or top ramen. I lived on mac and cheese, top ramen, and peanut butter for years. Okay. As I've built things and created things, like that's still a good place. I want everybody to hear that, is like your ability to build up from that moment is infinite. And you were born into one of the, no matter where you are on the planet, one of the greatest times in history. Right? Like if you can watch this on a phone or a computer, do you know you are in the 1% wealthiest part of the world if you are watching this video right now? So keep it in perspective is what I'm saying is, if you're embarrassed that you got to be on food stamps for a little bit until you can get back on your feet, I get it. But I'm also saying use it as an opportunity to build your greatest story, because you get to write and be the author of your story starting today. And your success story, you might be that one on stage at Symposium talking about, do you remember when we went on quarantine? That was when I was running my life completely wrong. I was doing too much drugs. I was doing all these things. I didn't care about my people. I didn't care about my whatever. I was doing all these things wrong. And that was the wake-up call that I needed. So if you view it as a wake-up call and you start adjusting your reality now, you can literally write the future. Because I think this, and I hope I'm not going off on too far of a tangent here, Sam, but I really do believe this, okay? I believe that experiences create connection, right? Like, Sam, we've done some cool stuff together. Andrew and I have done some cool stuff. When we've hung out, that creates connection, right? Right now, the entire world is experiencing the exact same thing at the exact same time. Never before in history, besides world wars, have we been able to experience something together at the exact same time that unifies the entire freaking planet. And this is doing that. Yeah. So can we take this experience and unite us and have it move forward in a place that we all can be more connected to each other?
Yes, so true. I love what you're saying there, my friend. I mean, I want to go back. There was a comment there from Annette about, I'm reinventing myself. I don't think we need to go as far as reinventing ourselves, but I do think we need to push the reset button.
Yeah.
And do you reset? This is an opportunity to reset. I've been talking about that. Reset your voice, reset your skill set, reset your personality, reset your attitude. Beautiful day begins with a beautiful mindset. That's so this is an opportunity really to rethink that. And so I love what you said, the connections, people, let's cultivate connections. This is what it's all about, is you need to cultivate connections with your clients. Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm seeing lots of comments of like, oh man, yes. Brenda, I saw your comment too, and please know that we're telling you guys, like, keep a stiff upper lip and see the positive. But man, like when you got two people out of work and you don't know where the next meal's coming from, we feel you. It can be easier said than done. So know that we're not saying this stuff to be insulting in any way, shape, or form.
Totally.
But we also know that this is the only option, because the other option is to stay inside of the negativity and continue down that negative path. You have two choices. This can't be any more clear. You have two choices at this point. You either start to focus on, okay, how am I going to make this work? Or you stay on the path of, I can't make it work.
Right.
Those are your only two choices. So you have to make a choice that's going to benefit you, benefit your family. And trust me, I know that that's so hard, but those are the choices we have.
You got to make an inventory list, man. And here's what I would say. You know what I did when I was super broke and I couldn't afford my place and all those things? I called my parents. Being a grown ass person, calling your parents is not a good day.
I did the same thing.
You know what?
Buddy.
I've had to do it. I've had to call my parents, say, hey, mom, like I remember calling my mom one time and I had to borrow some money to make it work. And it was like, that was a reset moment for me. But I want to tell you, if you have friends, if you have people that you know, Sam, you and I were talking not too long ago, and you said a friend of yours reached out for some money and said, hey, I'm stuck. What do I do? Can I just tell you right now, is really the test of who are the friendships in your life. And you know what? You have some friends that are succeeding right now. And I've told my friends, I'm like, look, if you're stuck, if you're hurting, I'm in a group. I'm like, dude, if you guys are hurting and your life is different, call me. I will figure something out, because there are people who are doing okay right now. There are people who are doing exceptional right now. And there are people that are not doing okay. And in my world that I like to live in is I support people that need help when they need help. That's why we're giving. That's why we're doing. I mean, my wife and I support all kinds of charitable organizations on a regular basis, because I know that not everybody's in a stage of life that they're in an affluent level of success. Some people are still in the struggle. Some people are now forced into the struggle. But what I would say is, if you have friends on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, if you have a neighbor across the street, if you have some people in your apartment complex that are doing that way. I remember somebody gave me, this is crazy, but like when I was in college and I was totally broke, one of the girls in my math class, I will never forget, she brought me over a loaf of bread and she brought me over a jar of peanut butter. And that's what I ate literally for the rest of the week. And like, you know what? Sometimes a small move like that, a small gesture can really be helpful. And I want to say this too to you guys, is if you find yourself in a moment where you're feeling sorry for yourself and you're caught in that downward spiral of chaos, find somebody that you can serve instead of feel sorry for yourself. Okay.
True.
I had one day that I started feeling sorry for myself about what was happening and what was going on and who knows and blah, blah. I said, who can I serve? Because even if you're broke, you're unemployed and whatever, you still have skills. You need to do an inventory of what you have to give somebody else. Maybe it's getting on a video chat and doing helping somebody do a virtual consultation before they, go and to get on their Zoom call, because you have a skill that you can still provide to other people. Don't limit yourself to that. And I would also say, I've said this to other people, is like, tell your staff, if your staff had to go on unemployment and figure something out, give them opportunities to figure that out. And there's a lot of people who said, I can't go on unemployment. I don't qualify for unemployment. I don't qualify for these business loans. What the hell am I supposed to do? You know what? We're in a world where there is more work and more opportunity. And if you had to take a job outside of the industry, if you're still stuck, we're 6 weeks into this thing and you're still in this, like, I don't know what to do, the sky is falling. Look, if you need, like, there are grocery stores that need delivery drivers. Amazon just hired 100,000 new people to work at Amazon. If you had to take a sacrifice in what it is that you're doing to put food on the table for your children, right now, nobody's going to look down on what that is. Everybody's on an even playing field. The whole world, it was a great equalizer that what we just went through. So I would just say, look for the resources that you have. Look for the friends that you have. Look for the people that are around you that can serve you. Don't be afraid to ask. I'm not saying go beg on the corner. I'm saying use your resources and be willing to take a look at, what am I willing to do to make money right now until I can get back into it. Dude, I used to, I started an eBay business the last time I got fired. I got fired and I was like, what do I have in my garage or in my apartment? It was like, what do I have in the extra bedroom that I could sell? And I sold a bunch of stuff on eBay and I started an eBay business. Like, look at it as a way to teach you a lesson that you can come back from. And I think you can go down the spiral of, I can never get out of this, but look at us as ways to reach down and say, look, I don't want to get in that pit with you. I want to pull you out of the pit, because I can only help you if I stay up here. If I get down in your hole and start to wallow in that sorrow and all those other things, you're not helping anybody else. And all you're trying to do is drag more people to you. Figure out what can you do, make a list of what resources you have, get into any action and start serving other people with anything you can, even if it's just a phone call to them and being friendly.
Love it.
Jason, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You're in the industry, yet you're not on the skill side of the industry. You're more on that business motivational side.
I did cut my first kid's hair this weekend. I don't know if you saw.
I saw it this
So
morning.
now I'm kind of in the industry. No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't count at all.
You actually did an all right job. Now
they didn't look butchered, is what I would say. They didn't look butchered.
Question. You're a consumer. You go into the salon, okay? You go into a salon, you make your appointment. Talk to us and tell me, when you walk through that salon, based upon what's going on in today's world, what are your concerns from a guest point of view? What are you concerned in when you walk in?
Yeah, good question. And I think this is where, like, when we're talking about opening up salons, Sam, and figuring this out, it's really important in my mind. We were just doing a training on this yesterday about what the reopening plan is.
Right.
Is that, think about this. When you walk into any business, because like right now, I've had to go since I've been home, on lockdown. I've had to go to the grocery store. I've had to go to the drugstore. I've had to go do a couple random errands. And my concern as a consumer walking in anywhere is, what am I about to walk into? What am I expecting? Okay. And sometimes I walk in the grocery store and I'm like, oh, now they got sneeze shields, or they got these guards, or they got, like, are they wiping things down? Like, what I want to know is, how well are you as a salon managing my expectations of the experience? This is really important. Okay. So if you tell me absolutely nothing and you just say, like, I had somebody come over to my house to service my air conditioner. I'm in California. It's starting to get hot. They came in, and to be honest, like, when I called, they said, "Okay, can we come into your house?" I'm like, "What do you mean you're going to come in my house? Like, we're all on lockdown and quarantine. How dare you come into my house?" And they were just ready to they were like, "Yeah, we're just going to come out and service your AC." And I'm like, there's a coronavirus thing going on right now, right? And they're like, "Oh, yeah." And because I asked, they then said, "Well, listen, our technician's going to come in. He's got gloves on, a mask on. He's got booties on his feet. He's going to wipe down the door handle. He's going to go, and as he puts up the ladder and does all, and they walk me through the whole process. He's not going to touch anything. And you can have a discussion with him outside from 6 feet away when he comes in your house. You can have your family in these other rooms." And I'm like, you probably should have led with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you should have led with it. And so what I'm saying is, to take this over into the salon industry for a second, right, is that your ability to communicate with your guests and clients and customers and let them know what the experience is going to look like when they come in the door. They shouldn't walk in the door, be handed a mask, put a temperature gun to their forehead and say, "Cool, let's check you real quick. All right, come on in." Because what I'm seeing in the comment flow from everybody right now is, they're like, "Well, if it's going to be like that, I'm not even going to reopen the salon, because that's just crazy. It's not relaxing. It's not whatever." Look, if your state deems that it's safe with what's going on, and you decide that you're going to choose that and go forward and open your salon, the best, and that's your choice. If you don't want to open, then don't open. Totally fine. You make that choice. Okay. If you've evaluated the information, you feel that you're ready to open, then what I would say is, prepare your guests. Right? Prepare them for the experience. So the guidelines in Georgia said very clearly is that, if you got to check your staff and make sure they have not had a temperature. You've got to ask them, have they been around somebody in the last 14 days that have had symptoms, or that have had these. And so you got to ask your staff. Then tell your guests, send them out an email and say, "Here's what we're doing to prepare to reopen our salon. Here's what to expect when you walk through the door, is that we will be," and so my business partner, he runs a couple successful salons that just do incredibly well. And he said, "Listen, we're going to say all of our staff is going to be wearing masks as required, and we're going to provide masks to our guest. Now, they're going to be washable, sanitizable masks that they can actually run and use, that will be reusable." Okay, so that's what it said. So they said, we're going to be providing those for our guests. However, if you do not feel comfortable with a sanitizable, reusable mask that we will create that has our salon branding and imagery on it, because they can be washed and still be sanitized, then please bring your own mask to the salon. And we ask you that you bring an over-ear mask, that you don't bring a mask that ties behind, because that's going to prevent me from being able to cut your hair properly, right? So again, just a simple thing like that, of just saying, here's what to expect when you walk through the door. They're moving their greeting station from way inside the salon. They're moving it up by the door with a checklist, and they're going to put a sign on the door that says what to expect when you walk through the door, so they know what's going on. The other thing that people are kind of freaking out about is the difference between requirements, guidelines, and suggestions. Okay. Right. So there's some things like this is the reason why people are saying this whole social distancing thing is going on, is because when you and I speak, we can throw spit up to 6 feet away.
Yes.
Okay?
I've done it.
It's happened to me in the past, right?
Been on the receiving end. Yeah.
I've been in that spot.
I'm sorry if you're out there and I did it to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get passionate. I get fired up. Fortunately for everybody, I got a screen right here, right? But the idea is, that's why there's a 6 feet social distancing. That it doesn't just mean, like, it's not like a proximity warning. If you get that close to somebody, congratulations, you got coronavirus. It's because your throw distance is 6 feet. So as soon as you put a mask on you put a mask on your guest, you've just reduced the availability for transmission to happen. It doesn't mean you got rid of it, because maybe you touched your face before you came in the salon. Now you've touched something else. Like, there's contamination that can happen. But But if you're going to be wiping down the salon between every single guest, like we talked about, the bathrooms, they need to be wiped down every time a guest goes in there. So you might want to do something like keep a lock on the bathroom and actually have it at the front desk so that every time somebody goes through the bathroom, the next step before the key gets given out is the bathroom gets wiped down again. So depending on what you're doing, prepare your guests for their expectations. And then when they come in, there's an absolute opportunity for you to have a good experience when they're there. And I just want to state this one because this one, I know this is going to happen because I keep seeing it in comments. You guide the conversation of what happens after quarantine. Did you guys hear me? Yeah, if you sit in the chair and if I go, oh God, Sam, what's the worst thing that you had to deal with during quarantine? And what would, like, hairdressers, I want you guys to hear me. Like, the quality of the question controls the conversation, and you control the conversation by the questions you ask. So if you want to ask them about how horrible their life has been for however many weeks you've been closed, you're going to hear about all the horrible things. If you want to know, what did you learn about? What good shows did you catch up on? How much closer are you to your family? I want to hear the best of stories from quarantine when I start seeing people again. Mask on, the whole deal. Like, you give me your best of moment, and you don't want it to feel like you've walked into a hospital. So are you using disposable masks that the healthcare professionals still need? Or did you create some custom masks that you use from the local economy and the local marketplace that you can do that make people feel like they're having a good time? I mean, again, be creative, be safe, and do what you've always done, which is make people feel better about themselves and look beautiful.
Love where you're going. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to mention one of the things that our team member, Anna Peters, had talked about doing with her salon is to put a sign out that says, this is a corona-free environment. That means discussions as well. We don't want to talk about it. Dude, you don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about something else, which I thought that was so cool. Like, make it kind of a funny sort of thing. Like, hey guys, this is corona-free land here. I know we look crazy, but we're here to have a great time. So I don't want to talk about coronavirus to you. No, let's talk about something cool. Yeah.
And I love that, Andrew. Jason, on the mask. Okay, let's talk about that because I've gotten like, how am I going to color? How am I going to color a mask? Simple little tip, guys. Take double-sided tape because they're going to come in with their own mask, and it might be the one that goes over the ear, and they got to take it off and hold it. Take double-sided tape, just double-sided tape inside so you can take it off their ears, and that way you can color and cut and then just put it right back over the ears. So there's little things that you're going to find, these little tricks that you're going to find. Then also is the idea of this is what you're talking about, Jason. It's a new consultation. And somebody said that in the comments. And that's what this is. Yeah. This idea of what Jason is telling us, plan, get the word out. This is how our salon's going to operate.
This is what to expect.
Exactly. This is what you can expect. So what we're talking about here is communication will build your wealth. How you communicate, how you plan, how you set things up is going to build your wealth. Now, if you're not going to do this and you're just going to go back to a normal day of work, you're going to have issues.
Plus a mask.
Exactly. You're going to have some issues, and you're just going to be trying to step over them as you work through. But if you have a plan in place and it's all set there, I mean, I just really feel that these little things that we're talking about, so critical. I love that idea, that little coronavirus free.
Yeah, I love that. That was super good. I haven't heard that one yet. And I think that whole idea of being a corona free zone is to say, look, here's the precautions we're taking to make sure that you're safe. And, your staff, like in Georgia specifically, because we talked to some salons that are opening in Georgia, and he said something really interesting this morning I just want to share, is he said, all the people who are silent that are coming to our salon are the ones that are excited we're opening. They're not saying anything. But there's a lot of people pushing back and saying, how dare you open? We need to stay home. And there's a lot of pushback. So just know, no matter what stage you open up at, there's going to be some resistance. So the best thing you can do is educate your salon, educate and let people know. And remember, for crying out loud, like grocery stores are open right now. Lots of places are open that have been operating and not been passing this around. And frankly, I just want to say this, salons have always been cleaner environments than a grocery store in the first place. Like, you guys have more requirements. The person who works at the grocery store didn't have to go through any sort of sanitation training or barber school. They can just graduate high school, go straight into working at as a bagger in a grocery store. So be aware that you guys really do have some different restrictions and requirements that are just part of the industry that makes a huge difference. I know you guys can keep it safe. And again, trust your local laws and government to really help you to just work with them on a plan to reopen and control those conversations and make sure they're positive.
And use every resource that you have available to get that plan out in terms of, whether it's through your social. I saw one salon owner he's been constantly doing these videos, updating his guests We're getting ready to open. Okay, we backed it up. Okay, here's the plan. Okay, here's what's going to happen when you come in. Here's how you're going to schedule your appointments, etc. So I think, use those platforms to get this message out in terms of how you plan to operate in the future.
Yeah. And, one of the things too that a lot of people are talking about is, of course, you have to start to pace your client flow differently for now.
Yeah.
So use that pace to your advantage, because you're not going to be able to service 25 people tomorrow. That's not going to happen. So use this new pace to have better communication with people. Have your staff, if you're a salon owner, have your staff personally calling the guests for the next week. Hey guys, I'm so excited to see you. Just in case you haven't seen our social post, just in case you didn't get the email we sent out, I just want to inform you.
Yeah,
here's what's happening in our salon. And, some of you are commenting about blow dries, things like that. Remember, you are in control of this process, and you need to do it in a way that you feel safe and your clients feel safe. So barbers, doing straight shaves, that's probably not going to happen right now. So talk to your clients about that. Say, hey guys, I can't offer you this service right now, but here's what I can do for you. Keep focusing on what you do have available, because it's going to suck that your client doesn't get to have their favorite service. My clients loved to get a blow dry from me. They loved to get a shampoo from me. But I can tell you what, they're going to respect so much the fact that, hey, right now, I can't quite do that service for you. So what I can do for you is this. They're going to have so much respect for that. And they're going to be totally fine with it. So set the pace, set the parameters, and just be, like Jason keeps saying, just be super clear with your communication on it.
Yeah. Because I just saw the one down below about some salons are choosing not even to use blow dryers. So they're not
absolutely not.
The germ
to not moving particles and things like that.
So many things to think about. Go ahead, Jason.
I was going to say there's a really important thing I want you guys to know, because this is what I'm seeing is that people are very quickly making a lot of assumptions about what can and can't be done inside of a salon. And when I looked at the information from Georgia, they didn't say don't do shampoos or don't do. I think there's a lot of people who are making decisions based on panic and what they don't know about how the virus gets passed and what's going on. And they're just kind of taking this this completely, it's just a hands-off sort of situation. I listened to this really interesting doctor who was in New York who was dealing with patients. And he talked about how if you are in the same home with somebody who has COVID-19, as long as you wash your hands correctly and they wear a mask when you're interacting with them inside your own home, that person will not get past the disease. Like, this is a really important thing, and I want people to hear this, is like, if you take the proper precautions, it doesn't just mean human contact creates this. Like, I hope you guys know this. Like, this is really, really important, is I don't want people to go into this scared, because if you go into this scared and you walk in the salon and all of these things are scary for you, it's not the right time to open your salon. And that leads me to my next point in here, is that being really aware that your whole staff needs to be on the same page, okay? Is that this shouldn't be I'm the salon owner, I'm opening back up on this day, everybody get your asses to work, excuse me for saying that, but like, everybody get your butt to work and go get this done, and like, here's what we're doing. We talk about inside, and Sam, you've heard me talk about this before with Blair and with everybody else. We have a code of honor. And what it means is that the team is united front and going forward, is that things like reopening plans, things like how do we have sanitation in place that we're all comfortable with, and we all agree with, is important that you have pre-team meetings. And you should be having meetings with your staff right now. If you've got your staff that's on, you've got your PPP loan, or you've got some availability to bring in some of your core team members, get them on board with what you can do to sanitize and get prepared to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So it's not, this is like, because Sam, our level of teaching, and you've experienced this, and I know lots of people have too, is that we are not dictators in the salon world. It's not, you come in, do exactly what I say and do it this way. I know a lot of salons run that way, and I'm sorry if you work in a salon that happens that way, but we do not teach that way. The way we teach is this is a community-driven environment where the group makes decisions together and decides how they reopen, what they do. I'm not saying that the owner doesn't have any additional influence. I'm just saying that as a group, you need to make a decision, make sure everybody feels comfortable. Because you might have somebody who's at home, and I see this come up all the time in our classes, is people say, look, what if one of my stylists has somebody who's at a high risk who lives at home and they don't feel comfortable coming back to work? How do you deal with that? you need to discuss as a team, how do you handle it? There's not a cookie cutter solution. And what I just want to gift every single one of you as a salon right now, whether you're an employee in a salon, you're a leader in a salon, or you're the salon owner, is the more feedback and the more input you can get from your tribe, right? From the group of people that you need to decide together, how do you operate? That's one of the best gifts you can give, because if you're not a united front when your guest walks through the door, it's going to be a rough experience for them. You're going to create excessive panic, and there's more things that are going to take you out if you don't do it that way. Like, again, making decisions together, because we're in this together. That's the whole point, is it should be a unification of a team, not a division of the team.
Yeah. Jason, I want to go back. Go ahead. I want to go back to, thank you, Andrew. Go back to pricing, because I'm seeing some comments here in terms of I'm raising, I'm going to discount, or I'm not going to blow dry and I'm not going to color. Should I charge them the same? What's your thought on that?
Dude, I have so many thoughts on that. We've been talking pricing for a long time. We actually did a training last week, and this might anger somebody in the comments, but we had this whole training last week that we talked about changing structures now before you reopen as a salon. Okay. If, and I'm just going to say this because I talk directly to salon owners, so I'm talking to salon owners, stylists, and everybody that's here. There may have been practices you've had as a salon that didn't work well for you as a business, that kept you more broke, or that put you in the wrong spot. If you need to make a change to commission structures and things like that, or your software, or anything that you do right now is a time to make a change to what it is that you're doing. Okay, so I'm just going to say it, and that's the vaguest way that I'll say it for right now, is that you need to look at that change before you reopen in your salon and figure that out. Now, if you're saying, well, look, I'm going to eliminate some services, I'm going to charge less money. Here's how I would look at it. And we did this in our program. There's two choices that get to be made here. Either you increase the value of what you provide and you charge the same price, or you reduce the value and you reduce the price. Or no, I'm sorry, I take that back. Or you leave the value the same and you reduce the price. That's what I meant to say. Okay, so you either you increase the value and you keep the price the same, or you increase the value and you increase the price, or you reduce and you reduce. So I look at it this way, is what I did for all of our clients is I didn't go, I'm going on discount mode. I went into what's called value up mode. How do I add more value to that guest experience? And what I would say is, like, one of our salons inside our academy, big props to the team over at Pure Posh in San Antonio, Texas. They started doing virtual consultations where they meet with their guests in advance and have a conversation. And Letty from Pure Posh, she said it this way. She said, I will never, never not. I was double negative. I will do virtual consultations forever. And she said, here's why. Because she said, I'm getting on the phone with people and they're showing me what their hair problem is virtually via video before they come to the salon. She's like, I, in the past, would have booked a 2 or 3 hour service for a guest before they came to the salon. And I would have wasted that time because they would have come in. I would have turned them right back around and said, walk out the door. And I have 3 hours wasted. So if you want to talk, right? Huge lesson, right? So she said, I will do virtual consults with any new guest from this point forever forward. I will book out 15 minutes on my schedule. I will do a virtual consultation before I give them that 3 hour slot on my calendar, because it's massive. But I want you to notice that's a value up move. So if you're going to be doing things like that, pay attention to your time, because I think you guys are going to be busier than Christmas. When you guys reopen, it's going to be a crazy time. Everybody's going to want to get on your calendar. You're going to be slammed. And so you can't afford to have no shows. You can't afford to have all those things. So we're recommending that people do appointment deposits. We're recommending that people do prepay of full services in advance. And that goes to do with, like, who do you book in what order, right? Because people are saying, well, look, who do we honor? The appointments that were canceled or the appointments that are standing? And we just said, look, leave your standings the way they are. Then find out who's in your salon's VIP program or the loyalty program. Let them book first because they've been loyal guests for years, right? Then you want to look at things like, you want to look at the people who prepay for their full appointment, then people who leave deposits. And you want to, again, going back to this pricing and the adjustment that I'm talking about, if you've never had a cancellation policy that you've enforced, is like, if you no-show your appointment, we'll charge your deposit. Now's the time to put that in place and make it firm, because you can't, remember when you were broke a minute ago? Everybody just said, I'm broke and I don't have any money. Well, guess what? You can't afford to have somebody no-show on you, because you need every dollar that you can. So now is the time to change all of those things that got you into trouble. Put those things in place in your salon right now. And not just the agreement between the owner to the staff, but from the staff and owner to the guests, right? And so again, these are really important things that, like, now is the time for you to really become that business owner or that business professional that you should have been the whole time enforcing these things. out of necessity now is that you can really decide, do I want to value up or I want to discount down? I am always a value up guy, Sam. Like you and I know you are too, from a standpoint of you give extra value. You teach, you teach braiding tutorials while their hair's processing, like you give so much value. It's insane. And I think people should realize that you have this mindset that's either a poverty mindset that says people are broken, it's whatever, or it's an abundance mindset. I live in abundance all the time, and it pisses people off that are in poverty. But and again, poverty is a mindset. It's not like, even though you cannot have money, you can have an abundant mindset and be broke, and you can have a poverty mindset and be wealthy. It's purely mindset about how you choose to price right now. Price
is what they pay, and value is what they get.
There you go, man. Absolutely, 100%. Hope that was helpful, guys.
Yes,
yeah, for sure. I was, you guys know I'm super into the spirituality and stuff, and I was listening to this podcast. It's these two young Jewish guys that are kind of talking about sort of progressive Judaism, and they had this woman on. She's actually a lesbian Jewish rabbi, and it was so cool to listen to her speak. Yeah, not a lot of those out there. Totally. And so here's what she talked about. And I think this is so perfect to exactly what we're experiencing right now. So what she experienced is what she called a crash in Judaism, which was Judaism was hitting this place where the environment that she was currently in, the values no longer suited the modern time, because she was coming out of the closet, and that wasn't welcome in her environment. Mm-hmm. So she said there's three things that people do during these crashes. One is they dig in further to their previous belief systems, because that's what they've always had. And so that's what they can go back to, because that's what's comfortable. Number two, if they get to that point, they just abandon ship. They say, oh, well, this doesn't suit me anymore, so I'm out. This is done. Which I think some people are looking at right now as hairdressers. They're like, I don't want to go back with the PPEs. I don't want to go back to this environment. I'm out. Mm-hmm. She said the third, which is where she found herself eventually, is she found that she could look at exactly what we've kind of been talking about. Okay, what is still true to me? What is still important? What is still valuable to me in the current world that I live in, that I used to believe in? And she's like, there was so much about Judaism to her that she could look back at and still say, I'm still so passionate about this part of it, but there's this piece that doesn't work anymore. There's this piece that doesn't work anymore. So now I'm going to get creative, and I'm going to create new things that still fit with my previous set of values, but it's a new way to look at it. And I think that's exactly the same place we're in, guys, is I think that if you feel stuck with the way things used to be, the belief systems we used to hold as hairdressers, a lot of those don't apply anymore to our current situation. So now you have to become creative and open and adaptable to a new situation. So yes, value used to live in, I gave them a shampoo, I gave them a haircut, I gave them a blow dry. That situation might not exist anymore. So now it's like, how do I still give them the exact same value? How do I still give them that $65 service, but in a new way?
Yep.
And get creative, because that's what we have.
And over the time, look at what's happening. So many discoveries are happening right now. Like I just saw a lot of the people saying virtual consultation genius. So there's a lot of things that are going to change and a lot of discoveries, but you got to be open to change. If you go back with the same mindset and try to operate your business the same way, highly recommend you rethink that before you go. So let's talk about something like that really quickly, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay, booking clients right now. So let's say I got pushed back, a week. Now I got to push back clients. Now I got to reschedule. Now I got to cancel. And plus, when they go back to the salon, a lot of these stylists are already booked, and then they've got all these masses of people.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, my friend?
Dude, so many. We just did a whole training on this because it's like I'm ready to rock, dude. Like I'm good. So here's why. And we've been meeting with our salon owners every single day, strategizing, preparing, and getting ready for this moment. And I think one of the biggest things that's going on right now is, number one, don't keep moving your date. So don't announce that you're opening until you actually get told this is the day you'll be allowed to reopen. So if they're like, well, I think we're on hold for another 6 weeks. Well, don't tell everybody you're opening for 6 weeks. When you get a firm open date, that is when you connect with your clients and say, we've been cleared to open this day. And here's what I would actually tell you to do. And this is from my partner, Doug. He said this, not me. This is brilliant. Is he said, don't open on the day you're supposed to open. You need to get your staff back in the mode of doing hair. You need to do a hair day for your team. They need to look the part. They need to get back in the flow again. You need to get in this adjustment of like getting your, like you need to, right? I'm telling you, Doug Campbell, bro, it's him, not me. He goes, listen, he goes, you need to get your hair, like they need to learn the systems and the processes. And like, you basically have to retrain your entire staff to come back to work again. That's been sitting on the couch, watching Netflix. They haven't been on their feet all day. They've been doing all these other things. And so don't open on the first day you're supposed to open. Do a soft opening like a restaurant would do, where they have a demo day. Maybe you just do each other's hair. Maybe you bring in a couple of clients and see how they respond to it. You practice and you role play and you drill a little bit and you say, okay, what are we going to say when there's appointment confusion? And I had an appointment scheduled from 6 weeks ago, but I didn't respond to my message. Like, how does the front desk handle it? What is this temperature gun? Like, you have to retrain everybody. So if you just open up guns blazing on day one, you actually have a problem. Right? You've got a huge problem that you haven't dealt with before, and it's going to be chaos, right? So make sure that you do a dry run day at the very least with your staff before you open up. Get them looking the part, and you need to teach them all the new rules and regulations and things that are there, which is all the more important reason to have dry runs. Like right now, have your staff talking about it on Zoom calls and in visual meetings and doing all these things before you open. I think that was... I was trying to think the second part of that question. Did I answer the whole question, or is there? I probably have more I could drop in there. But
now, what do you do with all these people now?
Appointments.
Now you got these people scheduled, and now you get other people.
Yeah, so there's even more here. So right now, and again, I work a lot with commission salons, usually salons with 10 or more. So if you're a renter and you're a solo or suite renter, this may not apply to you. But if you have a team of people, this is really important to know, is that you now need to practice what are called exchange sessions, where if you are slammed as a stylist and you are already fully booked, you can't do 2.5 months worth of hair in 1 week. It's not going to happen. So what you got to do is take those associates that you've been training, and you need to have a little mini you. You need to train that staff member and have them ready to go. That person who was slow before quarantine is going to be slammed now, right? And so what you get to do is make sure your hair formulas are ready to go for them, teach them everything that you can, have that buddy system in place so you can do it. Now is the time to say, look, never before in history have we had to deal with this. I'm going to help this person get you ready. And maybe you go into a mode where you kind of have like a whole bunch of associates that are working with you and making this work so that you can start spreading that load. And I go back to what I said before, prioritize how people are coming into the salon, and make sure they know if they don't confirm their appointment, it will be given to somebody else, because Miss Susie, if you don't call me back, then I'm going to replace you with the next thing, because we are going to be so slammed. We have salons that are opening up different hours. They're going to be way more extended hours to give more space, to give more latitude. And remember, like Doug was saying this too, he's going to have like snacks, piles of snacks and food and protein drinks and all this stuff in the back room, because these hairdressers don't need to go out and try and have a weird experience and go get exposed to more things. Make sure that that stuff is ready to go for them. Make that trip and take care of your entire staff and make sure that they're ready to go, because again, with all this appointment confusion and all these layers of appointments, spread the wealth around on the team. It's okay. Your clients, again, remember, your clients are more willing now to have something new happen than ever before, because they know, Sam, you said this, the universal reset button has been hit, right? So they know everything has changed. So guess what? Use that to your advantage and say, hey, I can't work with you today. I'm not saying you're off my list forever, but I can't work with you because my schedule has already been slammed for 4 months in advance. And now when you sit down and have that conversation with people about pre-booking, guess what? They're not going to go, I don't know. I don't have my schedule with me. I'll get back to you in a few days. I'll let you know. They're going to be like, I can't get in for 4 more months. Yes, I have my schedule with me. What would you like me to like? Your clients are going to be the most compliant clients you've ever had. So, all those things that we've taught that were niceties before in a salon are now necessities. Yes. Right? Is like you're now required to do that in order to function in the space. So I think number one, like I said, make your staff look right. Get them to look the part. Get them back into the business of it. The other thing you got to teach them too is like, what should they be wearing? They should still look the part of being in the salon, but remind them to wear some comfortable shoes that first week. They're going to be standing on their feet where they haven't been. If you can get them up and get them working out now, or run digital workouts for them, there's all kinds of things you can do to get them ready. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Hopefully it's good. Did I skate you, or did I get you what you needed?
No, you did great there, my friend.
I was worried.
No, you're just full of information there on that.
We've been talking about it every day for weeks, you know.
See, my concern is so many people go, okay, I'm going back to work. And you know what they're going to do, Jason? 24/7 to get
no, they're going to kill themselves.
They're going to kill themselves. And my concern is it's going to affect their attitude. It's going to affect that personality, especially when maybe they're going through some things at home or with family. And now they're trying to get all these clients in because they feel they have to. Talk about that.
So one other thing I want to say, that this is all Doug, he gets full credit on this. He said, one of the big questions that comes up in this like killing yourself sort of attitude or working too many hours, people go, look, I have children and I can't work as many hours as I wanted to before. My kids are at home with daycare. He said, partner up within your salon team and see if if one of the parents can be at home and watch multiple kids from the salon. All the salon's children know each other anyway. There might be a good opportunity for them to get together and be able to do some daycare and things like that. But again, if you kill yourself from a standpoint of, working so hard, because I've been around thousands and thousands of hairdressers for the last 12 years. You guys will sacrifice anything to make a client happy. I know that about you. You guys go above and beyond, and you guys are pleasers. You want everybody to love you and to be pleasing and whatever. You know what people will love you for? Is they will love you for being disciplined about how your work schedule works. Because and by the way, you could go back to work and work 12-hour days for 3 days in a row and get sick, not from Corona, but get sick because you pushed yourself too hard, right? You can get sick from other things. And by the way, guess what the worst case for Corona is? You lower your immune system, you're more susceptible. So the most important thing I would say for all of you guys to do is commit to what you want to do. And this is really helpful as a salon owner to get your team to commit to schedules that make sense for them. And so what you might do is this is the time to split shift your schedules and really and as a salon owner, really keep that dedication. If you're a booth renter and you're like, you know what? I don't know how to do all my clients. Maybe now is the time to team up with that booth renter across the hall from you and say, hey, I just checking in on you. Maybe that other gal who was working slowly and just starting out, now she needs a boost. I think this is going to be the greatest time in history where people have come together to serve and support each other, provided you're willing to do it. I think most people shoulder the burden on their own. And I think that's the problem. This is the time to rely on a team. That's why, we've been teaching commission salons forever. I think that the team-based environment is extraordinary because of this reason. But hairdressers love to be able to be in that spot where they are very solo. So, and I think it's good and bad. But this is the moment to team together, not to isolate, not to keep yourself private, because you mentally have to stay sharp and you've got to keep yourself going and preventing yourself from burnout. So it's just my thoughts.
Well said.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Yeah. By the way, if this is helpful for you guys, do me a favor and comment in the comments helpful. Guys, I just learned that I could see the comments.
Oh, you did?
I was like, I can see the comments. This is awesome. So
I almost kind of keep people away from that because sometimes I feel like it's almost dangerous. Distracting. Like they end up kind of doing this the whole time. It can be. But I just want people to know, man, like I know your heart is in the best place to be able to come back. But if you can't take care of your guests at all because you make yourself sick, and again, not from Corona, I just mean like it's the same thing, right? It's like if you're not taking care of yourself, prepare your food before you get in there. Don't do the hairdresser lunch, which is 2 minutes to shove food in your face and get back out there. Like plan that time, get into those practices, the gratitude exercises, the meditation rituals, doing some physical workout every day. I promise. And again, especially if you're broke and you're trying to see, I need every dollar possible. Then look, I said this to somebody the other day. I said, listen, would it be okay? And this is kind of a crazy idea. I'm like, would it be okay if you raffled off your first week worth of appointments? And what I mean by that is you charge people and you said, look, I'm going to raise money for the PBA, their COVID-19 relief fund, or I'm going to, for everybody who books an appointment the first week, if you're willing to do it, pay for a healthcare worker to get a $25 gift card. Anybody who books that first week, you're going to pay more, but I'm going to give a $25 gift certificate to somebody who's in healthcare. Some of our clients were doing things like that. Is like, don't be afraid because people are willing to help you. I think that, look, you have helped the community for so many years and for so long of what you've done. Don't be afraid to be willing to accept help from the community right now. They want to help you right now. I've heard so many success stories, Sam, of people calling salons and saying, look, I don't want my hairdresser to starve. I just want to, can I buy gift cards? Can I just send them money? What can I do? But here's the thing, you guys, I hope you hear this. You have to be willing to accept help.
It's like if somebody calls you up and says they want to help you, you're like, no, I'm fine. And you try and be a martyr and you don't accept that help. Then guess what? You're going to complete that reality. You are still going to remain broke. You're going to be in this spot. Like, just know that it's okay for your guest to help you. And guys, when that guest hands you a really large tip, and I hope a lot of them do, okay, is when that guest hands you that really large tip, I just want you to practice 2 words.
Yes.
Thank you. Not no thank you, just 2 words. Thank you. And you're going to have a lot of trash that goes on in your head about why you can't do that, because that person's broke and they didn't buy retail and they're suffering too. And they just told you all those stories of why they didn't have money in their chair and what was going on. And like, they gave that to you. I want you to know, I had to learn this. I used to do theater and improv and sketch comedy, Sam and Andrew. And when I used to get at the end of at the end of the theater performance, I would stand there and people would come out and say, "Oh, you did such a great job. You did such a great job. We really enjoyed the show. Thank you so much." And I used to go, "Oh no, I missed this line and I screwed this up." And like, we are our own worst critics, right? And we take everything on. So what I was told from a very young age, when I was 12 years old on stage, they said, "Jason, there's only 2 words you're allowed to say. Thank you." And you know what? The greatest lesson I ever learned was just sitting there and having 100 people pour out of a theater and saying thank you 100 times as people would come and shake my hand and say how much they appreciated it. It was more of a practice for me to realize like I needed to shut up. Like that was for me. And I want you guys to hear this. Like in the nicest way possible, can I tell you all to shut up? And I don't mean you shut up. I mean your little voice to shut up. That voice inside your head that tells you, but they were hurting, but they were suffering, whatever. Look, man, I want you to be okay with somebody handing you a tip, and that to be completely okay, because right now, guys, as a consumer, Sam, right? I come from the consumer side. I've been getting my hair cut since I was a little kid. So I've been hanging out on the other side. Is I want to gift my stylist extra right now. I want to be able to give. And it's not, like my old boss used to say this when he would take me to lunch and I would say, no, let me pay for it. Let me pay for it. I loved what he said. How dare you refuse to allow me to take you to lunch? And I would say that for you as you're listening to this right now. How dare you deny me the gratitude of being able to tip you extra right now, because I know how hard you're working, because I know that your family needs it, that you had to stop working and I didn't have to. How dare you deny me the privilege of tipping you extra? I don't know that everybody's going to tip you extra, but I hope a lot of people do.
Oh, I've been watching some of the comments, like you were saying, gift cards, and some people just send in their spouse money just to help them out, we're in an industry, we're so blessed to be in the industry that we are. Yeah, and the reason I say that is because we're in a high touch, effective industry.
Yeah.
No machine will take over what we do, but I want you to rethink that, meaning that we're such a high tech society that we've lost high touch effectiveness. And high touch effectiveness is just a simple written note, just checking on you, not a text, not an email, but a just simple written note. Now that we have the time at home, maybe you don't, but if you've had the time at home, a simple note saying, "Hey, Louise, I was thinking about you. Hope to see you soon when we reopen. Here's a little tip for you on your hair that might help you out." You know how much that means? That's what people are looking for, that high touch effectiveness. And now it's an opportunity to bring it back. Yeah. So I just want to thank you, Jason. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, there's one more tip I want to give you, because it hit me from earlier. You asked about, well, what if we don't do a blow dry, or what if we can't do something? How do we add extra value? This tip completely stolen by a mutual friend of ours, by the way, Matt Beck. So I'm going to give him some credit because he said this. I'm just going to pass it forward on something that he said. Is one of the things that he said is when you're sitting down with a guest, and you guys have probably talked about this too, I just happened to hear it from him, is he said, when you're sitting with that guest and you're talking about something, maybe it could be a blowout or whatever, is if you can't do something like that, put their cell phone on a tripod, have it right there on a suction cup or something in the station, and then film whatever you're doing with their hair. If it is a blowout, or you can do something, or tell them what to do when they go home on camera, so that they actually have that video that they can take with them. That's a value up move, right? That's a value up, and giving them something they can take with them. If you're like, I can't do this, but let me tell you how to do it. I got a mannequin head here that I can do it with. Let me show you how to do that real quick, so when you go home, you can do it. Now, let me ask you this. Did you deny them because you didn't touch them and you didn't get to do it? Or did you actually give them more value because they can now watch that tutorial video in their house every single day as they blow dry their hair? Did you give them less value, or did you give them more value? In my mind, you actually gave them more value than you were giving before. So again, get creative, get innovative, find ways to do it. And I promise you, it will be better. And I had with my stylist, he actually talked me through a tutorial. I brought him on video and he walked me through how to properly get my hair correct with it growing out. And I did a virtual consultation that was paid for, by the way, to be able to do that. And I think there's so many opportunities. If you look for them, they are there.
Awesome, Jason.
Yeah. Dude,
Andrew, go ahead.
Super fun today, guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
we had
guys,
black.
This was awesome, Jason. I mean, just
Thanks,
this,
man.
I hope you are looking at the feed of comments, because it is just a constant string from the 500 and odd people that are watching, just of how appreciative they are and how needed this was. So
yeah,
thank you so much for taking time. I know that you have just been basically from sun up to sundown with the salons that you service. I do want to tell you guys, he's not going to pimp himself, so we'll pimp him for you. He has an incredible salon coaching program. It's High Performance Salon Academy. So if you are interested in salon coaching, go check out High Performance Salon Academy. But this guy gives so much away for free through his Facebook, through his Instagram. So definitely go follow him, because he's doing this kind of stuff constantly, and he has great resources for you. So definitely go follow Jason.
Dude, yeah, thanks, man. And yeah, everything that we've talked about has been given on Facebook for free already, or on Instagram, and all those tools. And we're releasing more videos. And I just, I learned from this really good dude. I can't remember what his name was. I wish I could remember. I think it was like Sam Villa. I can't remember exactly what his name was, but as I watched him give so selflessly over the years that I have known him, he inspired me to just continue to give as a person that, just gives effortlessly and just pours out into other people, because it created this tribe around him of incredible raving fans that swarm him when they see him at hair shows. And I just, again, I've been inspired by you, Sam, since the moment I have known you in the industry. I was introduced to this industry through meeting you and Redkin and the whole family. And I just want to say, man, is you guys are amazing at giving value to people. I think people need to hear this message right now. And if there's anything I can do, great. But if not, I hope you go and find your coaching resources, the people that you can connect with, like Sam and like Andrew, who just pour into you and just shower you with love, because of all the people's hearts on planet Earth that need some restoration, you will be the first ones to lay hands on another person, to restore their soul again, and to give them the impact that we're all missing right now, which is a level of human connection. And when I was on the Redkin show the other day, I said, you don't have to touch a customer to touch their heart, right? You don't have to do it. So remember that, is you can still touch and make a connection with people without physically touching them, whether it's now before you reopen or when you open, you can make that connection with them right now. So guys, thank you so much for having me on. I am beyond grateful to be here.
Jason, thank you so much for your time, my friend.
Dude, of course, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Make sure you do catch him, because he is at a lot of shows too. And
occasionally
shows. But Jason, just for our people out there, Andrew, what do we have coming up? I believe next Tuesday we've got coming up Tuesdays with Sammy Live. I'm going to be exploring the evolution of the pixie, Jason, which you might have a little pixie.
Dude, look, Sam, it's starting to get a little crazy back here.
Ooh,
it's starting to get there, bro.
And then we have, don't forget, if you're not listening to Friday's Cabin Fever with Andrew,
best name ever.
Oh man, I'm going to tell you, there was some great feedback going on Cabin Fever. And it really is. It's more about thought process and talking and conversations. He's had some great guests on there. And that's always on Fridays. And then we're proud to announce that on Monday, let's see, where am I at? Oh, on Tuesday, the 5th, we have Improv Haircut. You tell me how to cut the section, I cut it. Tell me how to cut it. I cut it.
That's awesome.
Figure it out, and eventually we'll come up with a haircut. But it's so cool. I'm looking forward to it, Andrew, Jason, because that's like exploring mistakes.
It's a hair jam. I like it, dude. That's cool.
And they're very, very excited about May 17th. If you haven't marked that date on your calendar, please mark that down. We have coming up, thank you, Andrew, Social-thon. This is something that I wanted to gather, basically, guys, gather all my heroes, some of the legends of the industry, the motivators, the inspirators, the creators. This is an opportunity where I just reached out to them and I asked everybody, would you really want to do this? And everybody's like, before I could even finish what I was talking about, wow. They said yes. So this is a day on Sunday, May 17th, that's going to be special. And all of the donations will be going to PBA COVID-19 relief fund. So we continue to support each other out there, and we continue to move forward as a team. And remember, my friends, together we can and together we will. Thanks again, Jason. You're awesome.
Of course, man. You guys doing incredible stuff. Thank you, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.